Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday live stream. Before we start to talk about what's happening with the job numbers, looks like we are a lock for the rates to be cut. Just know that I am still bearish, but I continue to buy Bitcoin every single day. And also, before we get into what we talk about as far as like job numbers, take a look at ETFs. And also, we're going to take a look at something interesting. Donald Trump coming out with child laws and talking about numbers to actually give for people who are producing kids in the United States. I want everybody to do me a favor. Go follow this channel, Men, Bear, Cow TV. There's a link in the description. And if you were born or interested into the reasons behind certain musics, just check out this channel and go from there. All right, links in the description and go check that out. So here we go. Jobs reports. Quite interesting that we keep tumbling down. This is from CNBC. It looks like we fell by 32,000. And that's great, but I want to go to the actual source. This is from ADP Research. And it's a national employment report. And we can just see here that as of November, of course, last month, now that we're getting the data come out, looks like we've lost about 32,000 jobs. Now, look, I'm not a big fan of people losing jobs, not of being out of work. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not rooting for that. But unfortunately, because that is actually happening, we'll probably get a big fat rate cut. Maybe 25 basis points, maybe 50, who knows? And we're going to see here that as far as like U.S. private employment, I mean, we had a huge drop. Of course, this was in coronavirus times. But as time has gone on, it looks like we're just going up and to the right, which is what Bitcoin should have done. But unfortunately, it hasn't so far. And when I took a look at this, I'm like, where's the job loss? And then, of course, I had to remember that when in doubt, zoom out, which is a pretty perfect example here of 2011. But when you want to get into the minutia, you just do this and you say, oh, okay, well, there you go. In October, we had 134,576,000, and of course, 134,544,000. So we actually have, yes, dropped employment numbers. It looks like people are out of the job, and that's what's happening. This is a pretty good chart from Charlie Baleo, where it's looking like he's doing a rolling 3-month moving average. And we can just see that over time, that from November 2024 to today, we've done nothing but lose jobs. This is not good. It's not great for the economy, and this is a problem. And maybe, and some people say, well, we'll point to the Federal Reserve and say, well, Jerome Powell should have cut rates a lot longer ago. However, inflation is increasing up a little bit. So you're telling me that he should have cut a ton of basis points to stimulate the economy, even though the inflation was going up? I'm not the Federal Reserve chair. I'm just saying it just seems a little wonky to go that route. However, having said all that, it looks like they will be cutting rates. Now we take a look at the CME. It went from 86% up to 89%. We take a look at Polymarket. It's a 94% chance it's going to be a 25 basis points decrease or a cut, and that'll be on December 10th. Is this already priced in? Time will tell. But I'll just say that if there was no rate cuts and he goes against this, this would send shudders throughout the market because we are looking at a reduction in jobs. On top of that, the unemployment rate has actually gone up. So if we take a look over here, these are red flags that everybody should know about as far as what's going on in the economy. We actually had a pretty nice little low here from 2022, and we're sticking around the 3.5, 3.6 level. Fantastic. However, as you can see here, the unemployment rate has just kept increasing until we took a little bit of a jump here as far as September 4.4, and we're still waiting for other reports to come out as far as unemployment rates moving forward. But that is not a good number, 4.4%, as people are losing jobs left and right. So we'll see how it all works out. However, I will say I was kind of surprised to learn this. I don't know if you knew this. I didn't know this myself. As far as for unemployment rates, we know that Bureau of Labor Statistics, they contact people, just mostly a survey. It's a household survey where they contact people, say, who is still looking for a job? Who is unemployed? You have to hit those two criteria. However, did you know this? How the U.S. defines who counts in unemployment numbers. Included in unemployment numbers are U.S. citizens, legal residents, temporary lawful residents, refugees and asylees, or people who are searching for asylum and are here and saying, hey, I'm just a refugee, and also undocumented immigrants who are working or actively looking for work. So with the things that are going on in the United States with ICE, I don't want to get into the political aspects of that. This is not a political channel. I'm just saying. It is interesting that this is actually counted for unemployment. Did not know this. And moving forward with the crackdown that's going on, those numbers should also increase. And it has nothing to do with these businesses able to take out a loan or rate cuts. If that's what's happening, that's exactly where it is. And actually, if we come back here and take a look at, as far as establishment size and where this is coming from, look at the industries of where they're losing jobs. Not natural resources and mining, but construction. 9,000 jobs were lost in construction, changed by industry, and manufacturing, 18,000 as well. I got to tell you, there's a hefty amount of construction going on. And we talked about this, as far as like the AI boom and the data centers that are coming out, and actually also building for housing. But since we've had that crackdown, I think you're going to see more of these numbers go down. And I don't think that it's going to be fixed by the Federal Reserve cutting rates and business taking out loans. I could be wrong, but that's where it is. Let me know what you think about that in the comments section. But again, this is good news for the markets. There's a dichotomy, there's a separation between what is good for the markets and what is good for the economy. The market is not the economy. The economy does influence the markets, unfortunately. People losing their jobs and things like that, this will lead to rate cuts, and off we go. So because of all that, as you may know, we've had a nice little bit of a run. And as I take a look at the Bitcoin ETF flows for yesterday, surprise, BlackRock, 120 million inflows. And of course, as I said this before, I'll say this again. People say, but Rob, you don't understand because BlackRock doesn't give any type of investment advice to retail that are buying ETFs. You're right. You're 100% right. But within that BlackRock, the ETF themselves, it's three components. It is the retail, it is the advisors, and it also is the institutions buying through BlackRock, and they do give them investment advice. So having said that, miraculously, there was a sell-off 2 days ago, 65.9, and then right before the pump, or right during the pump, everybody starts to buy like crazy, except for, who the heck is this? Somebody sold 90 million? Oh, it's ARK. Well, that makes sense. They're always wrong. I'm just kidding. They're not always wrong. But it is interesting that just yesterday they sold off. And didn't we just have a nice little pump today? So sorry, ARK investors. That's pretty much what's going down. Let's take a look at the Ethereum ETF. Excuse me. Oh, look at that. 88 million yesterday. 50 positive. And ARK isn't involved in this one. So it is interesting. 88 million dumped ETH, but they bought Bitcoin. And then one of my more interesting ones, the Solana ETF flow. Look at this one. Looks like everybody was buying yesterday except for 21 shares. The last 3 days, well, except for yesterday, and I'm pretty sure today they're probably going to be buying. They unloaded at 32.5 million, 1.4 million, and 34. Interesting. So the last 3 days they were unloading, even though we just had a nice little pump. I have to tell you, I sometimes wonder why these things are being done. If we take a look at TSOL, this is 21 shares from the Solana ETF, and we take a look at the NAV, the net asset valuation, over the last 3 days, maybe just that's all this is. There is a profitability, 26th, 28th. Oh, that's not true. They were down on December 1st. It was closed 28th, 29th, 30th. A little bit, and they sold here. Even the market price was 6% down on the 1st. And that's when they sold the most. Anyhow, I don't know why ETFs do what they do. I'm just showing you the data. I got to tell you, I would think that they would hold on a little bit more since they've been doing that for quite some time. But that's also interesting. They seeded it with 111 million, and it looks like, as far as 21 shares goes, they've had an increase 1.261, and then just a big dumpage. So I don't know if that's the correct way to do things. Maybe I'm a little bit off here. I think I would have held a little bit longer, but that's just me. Anyhow, let me know what you think about that in the comments section. Then finish up a couple of things that I like to talk about. A lot of the information I've been putting out lately has just been Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. And at some point, things are going to change. There's going to be some type of mini rally for whatever altcoins are out there. I think it's a disservice to not talk about some of them. Now, I'm personally a big believer in the best, the Binance, Ethereum, Solana, and Tron, just based on if you take a look at what the rails are for stable coins, Tether and USDC. But there's a couple of things that have caught my attention. And if we're talking about AI, which I think is going to be a big push for the traditional markets, we have to talk about what's going on. I know this is a little bit of a stretch, but TON token. Did you guys know this? That Telegram launches a decentralized AI network on TON. This is from Pavel Durov, who is the creator of Telegram and separation from the TON Foundation, which is the TON coin, but you know, in the back channels, they're pretty much connected. Then that's what he says. It happened. Our decentralized confidential compute network, Cocoon, is live. What the heck is that? Apparently, how Cocoon works, GPU owners, which I think are going to be the next Rolls Royces, if you just own GPUs, pretty good play for AI. GPU owners mine TON by empowering the network. App developers plug in a low-cost AI compute. Users enjoy AI with full privacy and confidentiality. Telegram fuels demand. And before we say, well, you know, who really cares about Telegram and TON and everything else? They are a relatively large social media platform. I don't know if you guys have realized this, but Telegram itself is just behind TikTok and above Snapchat, and I guess also for WeChat, which is in China. You know, Telegram has 900 million users as of January 2025. I want to say that they actually crossed that 1 billion user mark. How many people do we have in the world? 8-point-something billion users, and Telegram's there. It is astounding to me how TON just didn't take off. I know it's in the top 30 or 40 or something like that, but it is amazing to me. So that's what's going on with Cocoon. And actually, I want to show you guys a little trick to save time. This was Pavel Durov, and he's talking at, what was this event? Blockchain Life Forum. I didn't really want to watch the whole 15 minutes. I just thought it was kind of it was a good talk, but I didn't want to do it. If you click on this little button right here where it says ask, and I don't know if this is on every different browser that's out there, but this is Gemini Ask, which is through Alphabet or Google. And when you click on this ask, you can ask anything about the video. And I just clicked on summarize the video. And it just gives me like this nice little summary, like, hey, just so you know, this is what he's talking about for 15 minutes. They crossed 1 billion monthly users. Oh, there you go. They achieved profitability. Rise of digital collectibles. I don't care about that. The growth of the mini app platform. That was interesting. I can listen to that. Then he addressed the problem of centralized AI services, no need concerns about data collection, blah, 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 decentralized AI, and so on and so forth. I was like, this is great. I don't have to watch anything anyhow. I can just kind of just do a little summary, see what it is, and go, okay, that's what I want to watch. And I'll click on just that specific section and go from there. So AI, as people like talk about it, has some function. Hopefully that'll help you out as time goes on, and you can actually bypass things. But last thing, or second to last thing, I guess, is, you know, as like we just talked about, 1 billion users for TON coin, and it's ranked 39th. And actually, it's almost 81% down from its all-time high. That's sad. Sad across the board. And before you say, well, Bitcoin's king, look, Bitcoin's down 26%. XRP is down only 40%. ETH is down 37%. You can read. I mean, Sol is down 51%. I think Sol's the, oh, no. I take that back. It's Doge is the worst in the top 10. Almost down 80% from its all-time high. Cardano, 85% down. Bitcoin Cash, 84. I mean, just across the board, we're not doing so great as far as like from all-time highs. And people say, well, don't look so much about that. Look about the profitability. I mean, sure, we can, but I'm just pointing it out that even though we had a nice little pump, we're still a little bit away from our all-time highs. And lastly, Trump. Now, before everybody freaks out and says something negative, this is not a political channel. But I will admit, what Mike Dell and his wife did, it's pretty amazing. And what the Trump administration is going to do as far as giving money to kids is, I think, a good play. But I don't think it'll work in the long run. This is what we got. Trump account for kids who qualifies for a $1,000 baby bonus. So this is Mike Dell. I don't know if you've ever heard of Dell Computers, Dell Technologies, multi-billionaire. Apparently he's giving away billions of dollars just to kids. Any kid that's born in the United States between 2025, roughly right now, 2028, is going to get a certain amount of, I think it's like $250, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So thanks to a historic $6.2 billion donation announced Tuesday by billionaires Michael and Susan Dell, some children 10 and under could receive $250 in seed money if their parents open up an account. I'm not even going to go through the minutiae. I just think it's amazing that you have a billionaire and he's giving away $6.25 billion. Has anybody heard of this? This is amazing. I mean, good for him. And then on top of that, looks like this just came out, and there's going to be $1,000 going to kids. And this was actually talked about on Fox News. And I'll get to where the relevance is with Bitcoin and everything else in a second. But just listen to this. This is pretty crazy.
Of where this goes from 0 to 2.25 million over the course of 60 years. That's a pretty nice nest egg for retirement if people continue to put into it. Your thoughts on this account?
Well, you know, on Fox Business, we talk all the time about the importance of time in the market. Start saving early. Teach kids why investing is so important.
Sense.
Okay, great. That's just it. Teach kids why investments are so important. If you give them money, that's great, right? I got kids, I got grandkids, they get cash, they get help. But what I do try to teach them is that cash can only go so far. I was taught by my grandparents, just save all your money, put it in a checking account, and then work 40 years on a company, get your pension, and then, of course, die. That's not going to work out in the new paradigm. And this is great, and I appreciate Dell and the Trump administration putting out $12,000 from Trump administration and $250 for the Dells. But if you put that into dollars and don't really invest, that's not going to do much for you. And that's the big caveat. And what I say is like this. Have you seen this? I linked this in the description. Whoops. Yeah, I think I did anyhow. This is from the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. This is right on their website. And they're showing you two things. They're pretty much screaming at you two things. One, the dollar, the value of the dollar has gone almost straight down. 1920 to 1933. The valuation of the dollar roughly from 1933 to today just keeps going down and down. So what is it saying is that, hey, just so you know, we're debasing the dollar. So if you give these kids $250 or $1,000 and you put it into an account, it's not going to do much for them. They have to invest into it. That's the whole thing behind the compounding that they were talking about in the video. But what's interesting to me is that the Federal Reserve of St. Louis, the Fed Bank, the Federal Reserve Bank, also put in this thing, a Bitcoin chart right next to it. And you can verify this in the link. And what it's telling you is this, like, look, if you invest into Bitcoin over time, look at the valuation of said Bitcoin as opposed to the dollar. Now, I will say, the dollar did actually gain strength from 1920 to 1922. What happened during that time? Just so everybody knows. We had these things called the Roaring Twenties. And this is the US inflation rate by year. And because the economics were doing so great as far as the economy itself, we actually didn't have to print so much money. And we actually had deflation, or disinflation, I guess you could say. And then the 1926 to the Great Depression, what happened? Well, they had to retract all those funds because then there's the Great Depression. So out of all these times, for the annual percentage change in the inflation rate, it's only gone down roughly 8 or 9 times. The rest of this, your money just gets inflated away. And this is why, even though I'm bearish, and I say I'm bearish, I still buy Bitcoin every single day because it's the only thing right now that makes sense to me. And that's it for today. So look, if you like today's video, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing. We talk about is time sensitive. Now let's get into a little Q&A, and we'll go, and I'll answer all your questions to the best of my abilities. Okay, what do we got? Slayer says, you plan to round trip your altcoins to the next cycle? Yep, pretty much. So my portfolio is roughly, well, now it's like 80%. 80% Bitcoin because the valuation has increased over my altcoins, and they're just going to sit there. One of those might be a winner. So far, they've been a bunch of losers. And that's okay, because as time has gone on, I've taken some profits, not as much as I should have. I know that. But here we are. I feel okay. But yeah, the altcoins are going to stick with me for a bit. Constant reminder of what I should have done. Let's see. Bells on bobtails ring. Thanks. Let's see. Litecoin ETF? Maybe? I don't know. We'll see if it runs out. You know, I said that tongue in cheek. You know, it's not the only thing that makes sense. It's the only thing that makes sense against the dollar, right? For me. But in honest, I mean, I think that's like the best bet. Gold is still there. Silver is still there. Real estate is still there. Starting your own company is still there. All those things to outpace the devaluation of the dollar and the debasement of the dollar, as opposed to just saving money. You need cash flow too. It's also very nice to have cash flow. So you can buy those assets as time has gone on. You don't just have to, like, you know, hope everything goes to the moon. That's about it. Tomato coin ETF, that's a lock. Let's see. Oh, what fun it is to ride your bags down to the pits. Exactly. Or it could be a Christmas song, whatever. Rob's got 10 different TANGEM cards loaded with 0.1 Bitcoin from his grandkids turn 18. No. No. Gave one to one of my grandkids already, and he'd already lost one of the cards. Thankfully, I kept one because I knew he was going to lose it. So here we are. Let's see. I didn't know what that is. I live in Oregon. Lots of gold and jadeite around where I live. That sounds good. Thought I said it'll be over before Christmas. The ETF's going to explode at some point. Yeah, or ETH is going to explode at some point. It seems to me that's what Wall Street wants to do, or at least that's what Tom Lee keeps shoving down our throats every time he's on CNBC, so we'll see. I hope so. I got a nice fat bag of Ethereum, so that's it. Yeah. A quarter or 0.5%, 25 or 50% basis points. I just don't see Jerome coming out and saying, yeah, 50 basis points. But I mean, he could. If he's just like, you know what, I'm leaving in April anyhow. 50 basis points. Now get off my back. But you know, when you get older, it's great to get older because they don't really care so much about what people are saying and the rumors that are circulating around you. Just like, done my job. I could probably just see 25 basis points and that's it. Lance Chance, the seller on 90K. It's not going to hold until it drops to 70K. And that's just it. Taking notes could be correct. Like we talked about this ad nauseum in the last like 3 or 4 days. Some people say, look, quantitative tightening has ended. So we got a little bit of a time frame between quantitative tightening and perhaps quantitative easing. Last time it took roughly 7 to 8 months to get back to that point. And of course, we're cutting rates. This happened in August 2019 to March 2020. So why wouldn't things keep going up? Who knows? Or the business cycle, or this or this. It makes sense. Like I said, it makes total sense of why we should go up as soon as we go from QT and flip the switch to QE. The money printer goes, business cycle starts to take off because these businesses are able to actually take loans and start to start business and economy. And then we have everybody going, okay, well, now we have more money in our pockets. We have more disposable income, more money supply. We're going to go into more of the risk on assets, which would be like Bitcoin. And everything just starts to flow just like in 2021. However, like we talked about this weekend, actually it was last Friday, it's not, the problem isn't what you know. The problem isn't what you don't know, because you don't know these things. You're like, I don't understand this part. The problem with everything that we're going through is you don't know what you don't know. And what that means is just look back at Binance and what happened on 10/10. Did anybody have that in their bingo card? They're like, oh, we didn't realize that there was going to be over $50 billion worth of liquidations because of some safety device or a glitch, as Tom Lee says, just wiped everybody out. Who'd have thunk it? And here we are. And it's like the same thing keeps happening over and over again. It's an exchange issue, or there's some kind of like black swan event. It's just, I don't know. So I'm a little bit more conservative these days because I've gone through it. We'll see. Frosty says Bank of America is also joining in. That's true. Second largest bank in the United States. I want to say roughly 3.2 trillion, or maybe it's 2.8 trillion assets under management. Not bad. I'm glad that they're actually here. Trust nobody, question everything, unless it's from me. And I reach out to you and say, give me 1 Bitcoin so I can send you 2 back. You can trust me. That is a joke. It's not a good joke, but it is one. Trust no one. Jimmy's right. Let's see. The older I get, the better bingo sounds to me. Maybe shuffleboard will be next. If you don't want to deal with people, bingo's pretty fun. You just get to sit there and be 18. You have your little dabber. Maybe you win something. You don't have to talk. It's awesome. I trust Bobby. Yeah, Bobby's something. Also, Bobby will be joining us hopefully this weekend. I'm getting out the kinks for Bobby AI. Ed says, what's the deal with the bots? Don't they know we're in a bear market? It's so easy to spin up a bot and just talk about nonsense in the comment section. Let's see. I sent to the throwback. So close. Oh, hey, look, Kamikaze Kid. Honestly, I'm just trading the dips and rips. Got to order a set for 80K. Sounds good. And I will leave it right here from French Toaster. Smiley face. That's what we should all remember. Look, things aren't as bad as we think. I think we had a nice little rally here. Expect it to go, depending who you watch, it could go up, it could go down. Me personally, I don't know which way it's going to go. And I'll be honest with you. So I just buy Bitcoin every day and just wait till it goes up and I'm massively in profit and I'll take some profits. That's it for today. Like today's video, thumbs up, subscribe, all that great stuff. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Looks like we will have NFA Live. I'll be joined by Guy and Ben from Dubai. They'll be in the same location. This ought to be fun. I want to get their opinion about how Dubai is. I just talked to Randy Hipper, formerly Miss Teen Crypto, and she said that the vibe there is pretty mute. So take that as you will. We'll get also the scoop from the guys. That's it for today. See you guys mañana. Adios.